The name of this book is Wake Up Missing by Kate Messner. It is a book of science fiction. The events in this book can't really take place yet. They could happen in the future. This book is about a 12-year-old girl named Kat, who's an avid bird watcher. One day she falls out of a tree stand and gets a concussion. If you hit your head hard enough, your brain gets shaken up inside your skull. You might see stars or pass out for a few minutes, and after that, a bunch of things happen. It doesn't matter how you got hurt, whether you slipped on ice or had a car accident or fell from a tree. People will start flashing lights in your eyes, talking about concussions and traumatic brain injury. And even though your head hurts and you're exhausted, they won't want you to go to sleep. They'll shake you awake every couple of hours, shining lights, asking questions. Your head will throb, and you'll be dizzy, and you might throw up. But that's not the worst part. The most terrifying thing about hitting your head so hard is when you wake up missing pieces of yourself, pieces of the person you were before it happened. In order to get better, Kat's parents sent her to ICANN, the International Center for Advanced Neurology. In the Florida Everglades, she meets her fellow patients, Quentin, Sarah, and Ben, her doctors, Dr. Ames, Dr. Gunther, a friendly airboat operator named Sawgrass Molly, and some not-so-friendly alligators. When Kat is getting her treatments, things seem normal until one day she overhears a conversation. I put down the robe and opened the lab door, but Dr. Ames wasn't back yet. I looked down the hallway and saw his office door was closed, but the one next to it, Dr. Gunther's, was cracked open with voices coming from inside. I walked down the hall and was lifting my hand to knock when Dr. Ames raised his voice. "No, not when we're so close!" Why would he be shouting at Dr. Gunther? I lowered my hand and took a half a step back. Dr. Gunther said something I couldn't hear, and then, "Far enough! Think what could happen!" Dr. Ames's response came through loud and clear. "You think what could happen, Rudolph! Have you forgotten how we came to work together?" I don't know if Dr. Gunther answered or if Dr. Ames kept talking over him. "At that time, you were found to be violating federal laws that regulate genetic engineering research. At that time, you were charged with a felony. And at that time, you were never going to set foot in a lab again. You were never going to finish your clinical research. You were never going to find your cure for Parkinson's. And you were going to die." That last word hung in the air. Maybe Dr. Gunther said something back, but I couldn't hear, and my thoughts were all jumbled. It happened a lot since my concussion. I could remember things from last year, but I'd forgotten something I heard a few minutes ago. And this was too much to understand. It sounded like Dr. Ames was threatening Dr. Gunther, but why? They worked together, didn't they? Trying to sort it all out made my head hurt. I stepped back. Why was I even in this hallway? I was supposed to be in the lab having an MRI. They were still talking in there, but only scraps of their conversation made it out the door. Tumor continues to grow, and I really think better with the other first-round subject. Procedure has taken, but it's early yet, and proceed as planned. We must contact the girl's parents. I said no. Dr. Ames's voice sounded so loud, so sharp, so close to the door that I jumped back, scrambled across the hall to the lab, and stumbled into the exam room, dizzy. Everything had to be fine. I pushed the echoing words I'd overheard down the shadows of my head and took a deep breath. Everything was fine. These were doctors, after all. This was where I needed to be to get better. I had to trust them. Should Kat trust them? Or should she trust her own perception? She does have a brain injury, after all. To find out what happened, finish reading Wake Up Missing.